Hey, what is up guys, Master here, back to do another video, and today I've got two games to showcase with Mark of Kane. Now, I'm going to be releasing an update for R21. Within a week of this video releasing, there is a tournament to conclude. Before then, I don't want to release a patch update. Whilst there is a tournament in progress, that would be pretty unfortunate. But it's going to involve some changes, most notably. Scorpion tanks will be somewhat nerfed from their buffed state. They did receive a plus 10% armor increase with dozer blades about a year ago. That will be toned down to plus 5% relative to 1.02. And to compensate for that, I've increased the beam cannon damage, which by the way was nerfed as well, because beam cannon combine bug was fixed and I had to nerf the damage so it wouldn't break. Beam cannons, you know, when they fire shot after shot, they combine reliably now, and it turned out to be pretty OP with the original damage. But yeah, I digress. It's necessary to release another update. I don't imagine there will be many more necessary ones, but there's going to be subtle changes to balance, and not only that, there's going to be bug fixes as well. One of the huge bug fixes, if you go ahead and check out the community tab on my channel, you'll find a video there, and that video showcases a fix, actually a plethora of fixes to do with age-long graphical problems in this game, to do like things like the shields flickering for screen and the stealth of Nod bugging out. So all of that is fixed. It's quite incredible to me, really, and it was pretty amazing. I did invest a lot of time into that, about 2-3 weeks, almost every night I was at it, maybe 2 hours. I kept failing, and eventually I actually succeeded and found a way to do it. It was very satisfying when a lot of modders over the years, in fact 15 years since Kane's Draft released, a lot of modders didn't find that, and it kind of surprised me. It's like finding a needle in the haystack, but you don't even know if the needle's there to begin with. But like when I played Kane's Wrath in the beginning, people said Trial 59 are OP. Not actually, quite the opposite. Trial 59 are weak, they lose automatically to 3 war factories. That turned out to be the case when I played, but then I was stubborn and I wanted to prove people wrong. I didn't want to patch well, of course, back then I didn't patch the game, but I didn't want to complain about balance. And ultimately, it led to Traveler 59 being OP. A couple of years later, I did well with it, and Traveler since then has received many changes, which are positive. By the way, speaking of changes, going into this game, Awakens and Cyborgs in general can be repaired by the War Factory, but the repair is a little bit slow. Nevertheless, pretty game-winning move right there, repairing my Awakened squad to full health HP versus Reaper 17, which can already one-shot those Awakened with the Gunwalkers. But it's going to be helpful nonetheless. Going to be able to EMP these Seekers. Seeker push coming in, Lightning Spike. This is a pretty standard strategy, but I have built the second War Factory and I'm going to be ready for these Seekers. This is a heavy commitment. Tanks falling, but the thing is, I'm at Kane and I have the ability to throw down these EMPs, and these Awakened squads also can deal gun damage, which is very effective against those Screen Seekers, which have a pretty harsh penalty against gun damage. By the way, Scorpion tanks is the name of the game here, especially versus Reaper 17, who are likely to spam Seekers. In the base game, Mock had huge difficulty in dealing with Seeker spam with shard launchers and shields, simply because you had an upgrade disadvantage versus the Seeker tank. The Seeker tank had that shard upgrade, which really did melt Scorps, and all that they needed to do then was just spam Seekers. It's not any better today. In fact, one of the arguments for buffing Scorps in the first place were things like AP ammo hammerheads owning Scorpion tanks, gun damage in particular. And then the aforementioned Seeker spam against Mark Kane. that has been made worse since the shredded turrets do a little less damage now with charged particle beams, but that helps other factions like Mark Kane. It helps balance the game more in many other aspects, so it's very tricky to get all things right considering the amount of matchups and variables are at play, but I feel like the game is in a very good state. When I say that there's an update pending, it's not to suggest that the game's in a bad state, it's just nothing's perfect and nothing will ever be. But I don't want to keep seeing the same gameplay every game, all the time. I do think it's healthy for the game to see some amount of change every couple months. You know, just a couple changes here and there, some bug fixes if possible, so the game doesn't feel like it is becoming stagnant. So I held off those Seekers. I'm going for these stealth tanks because my opponent is not building Seekers. And if your opponent's not building Seekers, then you can go for these stealth tanks here. So I'm going to build those. I'm going to not engage the tripods, obviously, but I was thinking of doing it with these EMP squads. One of them repaired earlier from that war factory. The Buzzstorm comes in and kills them right away, unfortunately. I'm going to start spamming avatars. Avatars, not much DPS on them. 900 damage on their main laser, but they do have... They're pretty cheap. They're $200. Tripods are 3k. So the avatar, whilst the DPS is low, the health to cost ratio is the highest. And I built Venoms by mistake. But instead of putting them to no use, I'm going to start picking up these shields and the tripods. Shields take 100% damage of all damage types. So yeah. Let's just ping these shields off, man. It's going to allow me to EMP those tripods or kill them easier. So those Venoms did what they could and they assisted me as much as they could there. I've got these stealth tanks in the base. Lots of tripods out on this map. I built Scorpion tanks, but their days have been numbered with these Reaper tripods now on the map. I see a tier 3 and I'm going to just summon in the Vapor Bomb. I know because I placed my Tiberium chemical plant in the top of the map, the Vapor Bomb will spawn from the top of the map, which means comboed with the little damage I dealt with those stealth tanks, I'm going to be able to kill that technology assembler. And I'm going to get out of there real quick because my opponent will expect my stealth tanks to still be there. Now Reaper Harvesters, they got slightly more health compared to Scrint. This is not a patch or 1.2 plus specific change. It has always been this way. Don't ask me why, but Reaper 17, they got a crap ton more health on their Harvester. It's weird, but I don't plan on changing that. Hopefully my microphone is recording. My video editor tells me that it is. Sometimes I talk over this and I feel gutted that the recording didn't turn out to be recording. But yeah, Reaper 17, very strong faction with the shielded tripods, but I have delayed the tripod spam. You don't want your opponent to have a critical mass of tripods, so that was a very effective move from me. See more, 3 more tripods there. Imagine if you had built 2 more, 5, 7 tripods, I would have been in a ton of trouble. But I got these Vertigo bombers, and I'm looking for targets. I see he hasn't got enough forces, so perhaps if I combo these avatars with the Vertigos, I can finish this off. I can see a couple of those tripods stacking up after taking those Tiberium crystals. I'm looking for the perfect opportunity. I deem here's probably the right time, and all 4 of the Vertigos get out of there alive, and I managed to kill 2 tripods with those Vertigos, so that's a great bombing run by those Vertigo bombers. Stealth tanks still alive, but obviously those will get absolutely ruffle stomped if they engage tripods. They just are not... They're basically in the bottom of the food chain when it comes to that. They really don't want to be taking on tripods. Tiberium Vein comes in, the new one, which has been changed / fixed. It does implement the EA Tiberium Vein. What's that? Well, if you drive your forces off the Tiberium field before the detonation, the units don't take any damage. Now, that has advantages and disadvantages. Advantages, I made the damage more compared to 1.2 plus. It's more or less like vanilla. Albeit slightly less, because in vanilla it destroyed half the field. And it's... the disadvantage is you can't hit fast units, but you can hit slow units pretty consistently like tripods. Now this is a good demonstration against Reaper 17 and Scrin in general. You don't want to be attacking them when you got avatars only and a couple of venoms, because just a handful of Shardwalkers will kill the venoms and your avatars are going to be dead. So I lost all of my avatars there. It's really sadly for me. Vertigos, they're going to be moving in once again. My Harvest at the Blue Tiberium field getting focused down, and this has bought him a lifeline in this game. I don't even have an expansion of my own. And he's starting to take back these Huss. Lightning Spike comes down, and these stealth tanks have been doing so much damage for me, as well as the Vertigo bombers. Those have not been answered just yet. 2 of the Harvesters go down at that Blue Tiberium field. I've lost maybe 3 or 4 during this time, as well as my army. 2 Vertigos also die on the retreat. So it looks like at this moment in time, I'm throwing this game. I'm going to keep my chemical plant. I probably should use the C Tiberium. It's such a good support power. It gives you over 3 grand of resources right away when you summon it in. Venom goes down there. That was a mistake. I have it on a rally point. Don't know how many of those Venoms I've lost. There's a blue tip Harvester gonna return to base. You can see the smoke turns to blue when it has taken Blue Tiberium, and you can even visually see inside of the Harvester in R21 the exact contents of its Tiberium. So you can see if it's got a quarter load of Tiberium or half a load of Blue Tiberium and half a load of Green Tiberium. It will tell you, you as a player can identify that, and it also illuminates as well. I had a shader specifically modified to have self-illumination on nod objects. So I'm waiting for the ideal time to strike. I'm actually considering bombing the tier 3 of his again with these Vertigos and stealth tanks like I did in the earlier stages. Seeker goes down. Supercharged particle beams are so effective against Seekers. Seekers just don't have the resistance, but with the Shard Launch upgrade they are very effective. An upgrade that is sorely missed at this present time, but it's understandable given the amount of times that tier 3 has gone down. One thing I have omitted, and perhaps it is a grave mistake, is the Mock infantry. I'm playing Mock like it is a nod faction. I don't have laser capacitors. My main perk of this faction is the EMP. I need to use the EMP. Enlightened in Wakened aren't too useful because they move too slowly. They don't have cybernetic legs, but that's fine. It's a cheap unit. I would imagine it's OP if they did get that upgrade, and EA probably did some internal testing and found that to be the case as well. Random engineer, just going to grab that Tiff Spike over, and this is what Mock does best, and that is just sit in their base with a bunch of forces and send out these hit squads on the map to do some damage potentially. There's an Enlightened there, but I'm going to use that to great use in EMP the Seeker, denying that stealth detection, so that stealth tank will make it undetected around this map. Beautiful map, by the way, made by Desolator Trooper. You can find it in R21 if you download the map packs. Links to that will be down below in the video description as always. Anyway, I'm going to combo this stealth tank with the 4 Vertigos. 4 Vertigos is not enough to destroy a tier 3, but in combination with that tip core damage, I can destroy it in one swoop. Redeemer going to be produced, and I've got these Vertigos, but unfortunately for me they have met their match. You can see these forces are in position to intercept those Vertigos, so I'm going to turn and change positions. Vertigos need to be very careful. I don't want to lose them if I can. I'm happily mining away there whilst this is happening, macroing behind this. This is the advantage of being on the offensive. Your opponent is busy with this while you are amassing an army to directly counter his. You see the production of your opponent, you see what units he's making, so you can build the hard counter to it and effectively be more cost effective in the engagement. Lots of Blue Tiberium being regrown as well. I'm going to wait until my Redeemer's out. At this point in time, I really am happy to sit in my base. I've got the Vertigos, which are going to just land and get some rearming once again. Those are very good. But they do suffer from a small problem, and that is they sometimes fail to hit moving tripods. That's why in one of the changes in R21H, I'm just going to call it that, I've increased the weapon speed of the Vertigo Bomb by 5%. It's not a lot. That is barely anything, but it is sufficient to avoid that situation from happening. I believe it was a bit of an oversight from EA, because I think Vertigos are designed to counter tripods. The tripod should not be able to dodge that whilst moving. You shouldn't have to force fire the ground against moving tripods most of the time. So I deem that to be a pretty reliable change, borderline a fix. So I've got tons of forces, and I've destroyed that tier 3, so I know there's going to be loads of tier 1 being made, and if there's no tier 3 and only tier 1 being produced, that limited Tiberium is going to be built and being used on tier 1 units, which are effectively useless against those avatars I have spammed. I've also got Enlightened and Tip Troopers. I fire off the Rage Generator. My army is well away from this position, but if I can bait the Stasis Shield on the Redeemer, that's actually pretty fine as a combat unit. The Redeemer is okay to bait a Stasis Shield at this point, because my army is more powerful than a singular epic unit. So my army is moving in, and those Enlightened are going to be very effective if they are controlled properly. These Reaper tripods have simply no chance against this. Outnumbered, outgunned, and these forces will be going down before they get the chance to even shoot. So yeah, you really need to make sure Mock does not get into this position. As Reaper 17, both of us have finished off our fields, and that's going to be GG. So that was a pretty awesome game, I felt, showcasing some strategies with Master Kane, which you guys, I feel, want to see more of. I myself like Master Kane. I do like the surgical plays like that. Anyways, let's go on to game number 2 and see what that's all about. Alright guys, game number 2, which takes us to a fan favorite map, Tournament Odyssey. Technique map which has seen countless amounts of games, and it is not surprising to me. It's a super good layout. It has a really good formula when it comes to the Tiberium field placement, and the terrain is good for unit pathing. Plus, the terrain is not too distracting on the eye. I feel like this is a big deal. A lot of map makers strive for making pretty aesthetics. But the reason I think this map is also very good is because you can just look at it and it's not stressful on the eyes. Everything is very clear to see, even on the ultra high LOD. So once again, I'm going to be Master Kane. This video will be themed about Master Kane, and I wanted to talk about the upcoming update for R21 as well. I'm not going to call it R22. I don't know if there will be R22, because I feel like I want to do these small updates. Maybe one day I'll call it R22, but I want to have some big staple feature for R22. And R21, I spent ages on that Harvester feature, where it would show blue Tiberium and spawn blue Tiberium crystals depending on what type of Tiberium is inside of it. Man, that was super hard to do. No modder ever achieved that as well. It was just madness, and I don't want to try and one-up myself again, which I'll probably try and do. At this present time, I want to do small updates, so I'm not bogged down with patching. And after a big tournament like the one we are having, or if you're watching this video at a later point, we've had, I would rather it be small balance adjustments, and, you know, if I find a fix, I will keep you guys updated, rather than save it all for a later date. I also receive bug reports from players like Your Horse told me that epic units die when they're teleported on shallow rivers on certain maps. I fixed that in the next update, and a few other small bugs as well. But when it comes to bugs, man, the community patch has addressed most of the surface level bugs. Obviously, things like pathfinding, reverse move bugs, we probably won't get a fix for, because that's more of an engine related bug, but I'll never say never. Harvester bugs were thought to be impossible to to fix, and yet those were. Or at least made 10 times better or more, man. The harvester bugging rarely ever happens. Maybe one game out of 40, I get one heart bug. That is totally reasonable. I'm pretty sure most other RTS games have it worse. The reason it's complicated in Kane's Draft and C&C3 is because they have a pretty advanced physics system. They have acceleration, deacceleration, they've got reverse move, which no other game has, I think. Units can also shoot while moving. It has very good locomotors. Pretty advanced in that aspect, so it's not a surprise to me why its pathing can sometimes struggle, but considering what it is, the pathing's pretty good. So far, pretty standard mock stuff. Getting pushed by 2 Seekers. This is just a scouting party. Sadly for me, I did lose a bike there to least a since. But I have a strategy here, and that is to go Scorpion tanks with 2 Reckoners. And in R21, Reckoners with Dozer Blades get plus 30% from the Dozer Blades. That means they take 30% less damage when they're upgraded with Dozers. And a combo I like to do against Screen factions is 2 Tip Troopers and 2 Rockets, 1 of each in the Reckoners. And I'll try and use the Scorpion tanks as like a spearhead, and then the Reckoners can go in at full HP into that Tiberium field. And hopefully, there's no tripods there, but if there are tripods trying to crush me, I do have the Tiberium Troopers within, which will dramatically slow the tripods down so they can't crush so easily. So that can work better with Kane for that reason. Against if you were Black Hand or Nod doing Reckoners, it wouldn't make sense because the tripod could just move in at full speed and crush you. So here are the Scorpion tanks, as mentioned. Haven't got Dozer Blades just yet, and I see the first tripod and a storm column. So yeah, this is already looking pretty bad for me. This army is toast. I deploy my 2 Reckoners right here. I'm in range of that refinery. That's good enough for me. If I can kill that refinery after killing this tripod and storm column, that's a result. That is a good situation for me. It's not a game-winning situation, but I would say it's aiming high. I take out the storm column, and look at these Tip Troopers, man. Unbuffed Tip Troopers. The range, really amazing on them, and it's really cool to see this Tiberium goo just come out of that Reckoner. Very good, the graphical effects in this game, even so many years later. And here is the EMP micro that you guys like to see. Tripods, like I said, they can go in for the crush, and I see that he is not doing so, but this Reckoner is dying anyways. Doesn't take long to DPS that down. Even with that plus 30% armor, the tripods have so much damage, and my forces are going to be forced to pull back. I haven't got many Scorpion tanks left, so what I'm going to do at this point is transition into beam cannons, because I know my opponent has got tripods, and he's probably going to go for more of them. He's not going to build Shard Walkers, because there's still a dozen Scorpion tanks on this map. So tripods will be the name of the game. I do think Mecha Pete's would be an option here, but I understand why he's not opting for them because of those Enlightened Squads. Tripods, man, that is a unit to fear as any faction. They are very powerful, but not against Enlightened Squads when they are microed properly. The thing about Enlightened Squads I don't like, however, is the fact that they don't have much DPS without the supercharged particle beam upgrade. So I'm happy to announce in the next update I'm going to be increasing the damage of the green charged particle beams of Enlightened by 10%. It's a small increase in damage, but it will be sufficient for it to not suck as much. It won't be mandatory to get the upgrade. And I would really like to see more people use Enlightened and Tip Troopers. It's just the identity of Kane. If players continue to play it like Nod, then it just removes the purpose of mock existing. And this is a really good example of what you can expect from a well-played Nod mock. Beam cannons were nerfed, as I said in that first game, because the combine is efficient and consistent. And you guys are going to see with 125 damage why this is so. In vanilla, it's 150 damage for the per beam cannon. 125 here. So with that in mind, we're about to see what these beam cannons can do. And you guys can imagine if it were not nerfed in this situation. So yeah, one tripod goes down. And because these beam cannons are consistently shot after shot, combining their beams without bugging, this makes it so much better in mass. So yeah, all of the tripods fall. That would not have happened in vanilla. Even though the damage is lower here, the consistency, the bugs being fixed, makes it a buff. So a lot of the balance changes that you see in 1.02 Plus are a result of compensating for bug fixes, because bug fixes affect balance. They just do. I had to make some changes to offset the bug fixes. Notably, the tip vane had to be adjusted as well for the same reason. But yeah, that is it, and I want to thank you all very much for watching this video. I have to go now because I don't have much footage to talk over, so thank you very much guys for watching. Thank you to all on Patreon for continuing to support me and my channel. Anyways guys, I'll see you all in the next video. This is me, Master Leaf. Peace out.